swimming for a little bit, but not as familiar with swimming as baseball for sure.
Yeah. All right. So you've done a lot.
I played lacrosse and played basketball, and I'm sure we'll get into it here in a little bit, but my career just took a turn towards baseball and been doing that at a high level as a performance coach ever since.
So did you want to play? Did you want to play a sport in college?
Yeah, I wanted to play lacrosse. I played lacrosse in high school. Thought about going to Greensboro College to play lacrosse, and then it was, I'm an only child. I'm still an only child. My parents have since passed, but my whole thought process was, do I want to go to Greensboro College and play lacrosse being from High Point, or do I want to go to East Carolina and play club lacrosse, which the competition was similar. So I chose club lacrosse at East Carolina and went that route.
All right. So you go and you play at East Carolina, right? And then tell me a little bit about what happens when you go there and then you graduate and how you end up getting into then baseball.
Yeah. So graduated from East Carolina, came back home to High Point, thought I wanted to be a respiratory therapist. My dad had emphysema and cancer, so I thought being a respiratory therapist was something that I really wanted to do. I got into that. Turns out that's not exactly what I wanted to do. Got more into the strength and conditioning side of things and started an internship at High Point University, and then just really, went on to a bunch of different schools and got to work with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and then ended up back home.
I mean, that's a really fast way to say it, but tell us a little bit about how that even happened, because I got to tell you, it's really hard to go into this sport and start, training athletes and getting into that. And it goes back to the positive quote that we said with Michael Phelps, which is, you have to really continue to train and work hard.
Yeah.
And so, it's easy to say, oh yeah, well, I just started work with the LA Dodgers. Take us a little bit through that, because I know that you probably had to have a lot of people help you along the way.
100%.
You had to have mentors along the way. You probably wanted to give up along the way, but you didn't.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's start. This is going to be fun. So started off at High Point University, interned there for a year and a half, and, really wanted to get into athletics. I was an athlete growing up. I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
When I was an undergrad, I thought the sports medicine route, the athletic training was what I wanted to do.
Me too. I thought about that.
And then, my first rotation with football at East Carolina, when the guys just kept dropping water bottles in the ground, I was like, I'm not sure this is, what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Right.
So moving back towards High Point. So got back, wasn't a Division I college athlete. I had to learn so much. And to your point about what Michael Phelps said about working hard, I had to get there, 5:30 in the morning. I had to learn how to Olympic lift, because that's what we taught the players there. So I had to learn Olympic weightlifting, how to snatch, how to clean.
That?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah. So like the snatch and then the full clean. So basically it's a movement with a barbell that starts on the ground. The snatch is caught in a full overhead position. The clean is caught in a front squat and then goes into the overhead jerk.
And why do that as opposed to other forms of lifting?
Yeah. So we did that with those guys just for pure strength and explosive power. It's one of the most explosive movements a human being can do in the weight room. So that was obviously trying to transfer the power and explosiveness to their sport.
Gotcha. And so then from there, where'd you go?
Yeah. So after High Point, was there for a year and a half.
Wait, I just want to reiterate the fact that, you basically had to do a lot of the grunt work. Would you say?
100%. Yeah.
And so that's the thing that people don't understand is that you're going to hear Brandon's story and you're going to be like, man, I want to be that guy. How do I get to that point? And here's the thing is you have to, and I love saying this to listeners out there, is you have to do the hard stuff first to then reap the benefits. Keep going, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I guess to kind of go along with that, worked there for a year and a half, was working at a gym over here in Kernersville in the evening. So I'd be there 5:30 in the morning till 1, and then I'd go work in Kernersville till 10. And I did that for a year and a half, living at my parents' house. And it was tough. It was really hard. There was, times where my friends were, making a lot of money. They were doing different things. I could barely pay my student loans. Yeah. And I'm like, my parents were like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Yeah. And again, so like when I left High Point, I went to Mississippi State. And my mom, I'll never forget it. Right before I left, my mom's like, well, High Point should give you a job. Like, you've worked there for a year and a half. Like, you deserve it. And I'm like, no, yeah, right. No, I think so too. But that's not the way this works. Right. And so with Mississippi State being in the SEC, a really large program, I got the opportunity to go work there. We talk about mentors. Brian Neal, a huge mentor of mine, taught me a lot. Got to work with baseball. And that's that's really when I was like, oh my gosh, like these guys are super athletic. It's not just hitting a ball. And, people that don't play baseball think hey, there's a lot of standing around. They're not really athletes. They can just, throw a baseball, make it do some things, and then touch it with a bat. Like it couldn't be farther from that. Trust me. Like I've watched it, and I've, tried to play catch with some of these guys at a high level, and that ball gets on you quick. But being at Mississippi State was just such an awesome opportunity. I mean, you talk about like Rafael Palmeiro, Will Clark, like the guys that have done so much in college baseball, and to be able to be there and see that firsthand. I mean, Joe, when we played Ole Miss in 2014, there was 15,000 people there 3 days in a row, and it set the attendance record. And you're like, holy cow, like I get to be a part of this. I'm training guys that are some of the best at what they do.
And is that when you felt like I'm finally impacting and making a difference?
Yeah. That's when that was
like your light bulb moment.
100%. That's when I was like, I can really make a difference on what happens on the field.
Right.
It was a really cool thing to see.
And so then something else is kind of pivotal is you worked with Ed Blankmeyer, Hall of Fame coach. Tell us a little bit about that and what that was like.
Yeah. So I got to work with Blanks. So after Mississippi State, came back home, interned at Wake for a summer, got to work with basketball. After that, I went on to be a graduate assistant because that was kind of the next step. You get your master's and you kind of go on from there. Talk about like wanting to quit. I got to Queens, being from High Point, North Carolina, after living in Starkville, Mississippi, in Southside Jamaica, Queens.
Culture shock.
Yeah, it was the ultimate culture shock. And I was dating my wife, my now wife at the time. We ended up getting engaged right around Thanksgiving of that first year there. But man, I'll never forget being there, and it was cold. And, people talk about, the North and how different folks are. And like, I get it. It was cold. There was a lot of different things going on, but having the opportunity to work with Blanks was really special.
How come?
I'll never forget. That's a good question. So we were doing this turkey trot right before I came home to propose to Emily, and he was getting ready to be the manager of the collegiate national team with USA Baseball up in Cary. And I'll never forget, his accent was obviously a Northern accent, and he asked me if I wanted to work for him with USA. And I was like, sure, coach, like whatever you say, like younger guy, just wanting to please him. And like, yeah, sure, whatever. And Corey Mascara, who's now the head coach over at Duke, former pitching coach over here at Wake Forest, was like, dude, you didn't even understand what he just said. Like he just asked you to be the collegiate national team strength and conditioning coach in your home state, an hour away from where you're from. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And he's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but to answer your question of why he was so impactful.
Do you think, I love how you call him Blanks. That's a great nickname. Yeah. Did he realize, like, do you think he also realized this kid doesn't really get it, but he'll catch on in a second? Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. Cause it's funny.
Did you go back and you were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Literally right after Corey said that, I was like, 100%, of course. And he's like, yeah, right. Of course you do.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. But just the way that his energy, and just the way that he never really like demanded certain things of us. Like, some of my other bosses that I've had and different people that I've worked with, but it was just the way that he went about his business, the way he invited Emily and I and the rest of the staff into his home. And it was at St. John's. It's and in the Northeast in general, like the block that we lived on, it was a very tight knit community once you got in, and it was just an us against the world mentality. And that's really kind of how my career's been, even at East Carolina and some of these other places. It was, hey, this is St. John's. Like they're one of the best college programs in history. Like they're a top 10 all-time program in the Northeast, and we would scrimmage live in a little gym, and we would have to put up these mats where the high jumpers on the track team would jump just so they could see the baseball, because there's windows coming in and all that stuff. So just the way he went about it, his obvious knowledge of the game, but just who he was as a person.
So would you say that coaching really does make a difference with the athletes?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I would say he taught me that. It's, here's another quote, like nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care. That's a really big thing that, I was taught early on, even by the folks like Ryan Billings and things like that at High Point University. And it's true. It's easy for people to want to be good at their job and be a great coach and things like that. But until you have a mentor that really pushes you and shows you how to do that and how to treat people and how to take care of people, that's when you're like, okay, that's the model. That's what I need to follow this after. And we went and played Georgetown one time, and we played at Georgetown's field, which wasn't on campus. It was a very low level field for a university like that. It was a town park, actually. And we practice, in college baseball, if you play a weekend series, you'll go out, you'll practice Thursday night at the field. You're going to get a feel for things. Every stadium's a little bit different. Most coaches would have just left, gone back to the hotel, got ready to go play the next day. We're cleaning everything up, like all of our stuff. I looked over, he's on the drag. He's actually like dragging the infield and cleaning. He's like, boys, let's clean this place up for these guys. Like we need to
That's awesome.
take care of them a little bit. So,
all right. Well, we got to cut to commercial break, but I want you to stick around because Brandon then ends up at the LA Dodgers. And where next? Where is he now? You're going to want to find out. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Jill Berlin Show on WSJS.
Friday nights are electric on WSJS.
Dives into the end zone, touchdown, Mount Tabor.
It's the Jerry Hunt Supercenter High School Football Game of the Week, where they buy more, they sell more, and you save more.
Going to get swallowed under and brought down for a sack in the backfield.
The High School Football Game of the Week is also made possible by our friends at Bobo's Deli and Grill, your pregame meal stop. By the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds, home of the Carolina Classic Fair, October 3rd through 12th.
He dives, and he just gets inside the pylon. Touchdown, Grimsley.
Our proud sponsors help bring these games to life, like Northwest Ace, The Helpful Place, Measure Twice, Shop Once, and by Mrs. Haynes Moravian Cookies, hand-rolled, hand-cut, and baked with love.
He's lobbing, going for the end zone, underthrown, intercepted.
Don't miss the showdown everyone's talking about, the Jerry Hunt Supercenter High School Football Game of the Week, right here on WSJS and online at WSJS.com.
This Labor Day weekend, be there to write the next chapter of the Cookout Southern 500.
Clear, set sail.
NASCAR Playoffs weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 30th and 31st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed the musty smell in your home? I hope not, because damp smells mean that you could have a crawl space problem. That's where Tar Heel Basement Systems comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your crawl space and get to the root cause of the problem. Schedule your free inspection at tarheelbasementsystems.com/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Hola, amigos. With the spring and summer in the air, make Pancho Villa's your destination for authentic, delicious Mexican food. Family-friendly and always fresh. We're grateful to be partners on the Truth Network, and we have 2 locations, one in High Point and in Winston-Salem. Make it a Pancho Villa's night.
Friendly service, delicious food, and a wonderful family-friendly atmosphere. Find them online at mypanchovillas.com. Via Con Dios.
Child abuse is not a bad parent problem.
Keeping families out of crisis in the first place
is how we prevent it from ever happening.
Go to preventchildabuse.org and
let's stop child abuse before it ever happens.
Hi, I'm Jay Delsing, a 2-time All-American and PGA Tour veteran of 25 years. I know the game of golf inside and out. Each week, we'll feature celebrity golfers, share their laughs, inside stories, and offer great tips to improve your golf game.
I want to swing, don't you want to swing with me?
Brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Winston-Salem, proudly serving our community for over 50 years. That's Golf with Jay Delsing, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on WSJS.
I'm about to have a good day in every single way. The God who made the universe knows me by my name, so it's a good day.
You're listening to the Jill Berlin Show on Triad Today.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. I am so excited to have Brandon Golden here from the Ghost Lab, which is in High Point University, or in High Point. It's not at High Point University. It's in High Point. So Brandon was talking a little bit about his career in baseball, and let's take you to ECU. You spent a lot of time there.
Yeah.
Tell us about what was that?
Yeah, East Carolina. It's such a special place for multiple reasons. Went to undergrad there, got to meet the love of my life and Emily there. And then when we left there and, got to go to St. John's and down to Charleston, we ended up back in Greenville, and just the ability to work with such top-notch people, and Cliff Godwin, Jeff Palumbo, Dan Roselle, who's at Kentucky now, Zach Womack, who's an athletic trainer, Coach Connors, Big John, like all the guys that hired me in the weight room, to just be able to do the things that I love more than anything is just to train people. And I think more than that, we were kind of getting into it a little bit earlier, but it's to make relationships. I think being able to make a relationship and make a difference in a person's life is what I was put on this planet to do. And I do that through strength conditioning and baseball and just teaching people how to be good people. And Cliff Godwin gave me an opportunity to be the strength coach there, along with Coach C, Coach Connors. And yeah, I learned a lot. I grew in from a young man to I would say a grown man at 28 when we had our first son, who's getting ready to be 8 here in a couple weeks, actually on Sunday.
And you just had another one.
Yeah, he's 2 weeks old today.
Emily, good job, Emily.
She's a stud.
She's a stud.
Absolute stud. Just baby maker. She's a beautiful human being inside and out. She's the best.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You look well rested too.
Yeah, she crushed it last night. She took everything last night and let me get some rest. Wow. And she's an absolute rock star. Yeah, we'll touch a little bit about that more.
You make sure you keep that lady happy.
100%.
So how'd you end up at the LA Dodgers?
Yeah. So, when I was at East Carolina, just having the opportunity to win and impact people as much as we did. I mean, people called just about every semester, every 6 to 8 months, offering a job or talking about different things. The Cleveland Guardians called a couple of times. I had an opportunity to work with the San Francisco Giants. Mississippi State reached back out, offered me a job over the phone. Florida State reached out, and it was just never the right time for Emily and I in our career.
Well, and I'm sure you guys were kind of like, well, I think we kind of want to settle down.
Yeah, we wanted to settle down.
And then you got an offer you couldn't refuse.
Yeah, and we were really good. You know what I mean? Like it was great people in an organization that was very, very good, that I knew we were going to be good for a long time. But then the Dodgers called, and it was a good friend of mine that I met up at Eric Cressy's place, who is a phenomenal, talk about mentor. He's a pioneer in the performance field. And Eric Yavarone, who is still working in the big leagues with the Dodgers, we had conversations about, what that would look like working with the Dodgers. And, I'm like, at any point in time, if I'm going to go into professional baseball, it's going to be with the Los Angeles Dodgers, because in my opinion, they're the best organization on planet Earth as far as professional sports go. And, getting to be with the Dodgers and just learn all the things, a lot of the things that I'm doing now at the lab, movement quality, what's important. As a college strength coach, you don't have a lot of time to train players. They come in the fall, you have 3 to 4, maybe 5 weeks if you're lucky. Then you're playing fall baseball, and then it's exams, and then they're gone, and then the season comes in. So in minor league baseball, and even in the major leagues, like you have a real off season. There's no school. You don't have to worry about all these other things. So Carl Koshin, who's now the director of, I don't know his exact title, but strength and conditioning and player development with the St. Louis Cardinals, he told me, he was like, Brandon, like, they're not going to LA tomorrow. Like, some of these guys were in rookie ball and in high A and double A. It's like, our job is to prepare them. So if they are talented enough and the stars align, because the stars do have to align sometimes for people to make it to the big leagues, like, then they'll be ready, and you're going to impact them way longer than just making them stronger. So it was a really cool opportunity, and just understanding how to put people in positions to go be successful and literally live out a childhood dream of playing professional baseball at any level. So it was a lot of fun.
That's incredible. And so now you've actually come back home to North Carolina. And of course, Emily, the brainchild, was like, you need to open up your own business.
Yeah.
And you need to start consulting and helping a ton of athletes. So now all of that knowledge from college to professional baseball, you have brought that all home. And now you're helping and consulting with Wake, A&T, George Mason. Tell us about this Ghost Lab.
Yeah. It's, again, Emily is the backbone behind anything and everything that I do. So, when we were with the Dodgers, we were in four states in a year. And at one point in time, she's like, Brandon, this isn't feasible. So, like, okay, we were going to be in AA in Tulsa. And she's like, okay, so we make it to LA, then what? I don't really want to live in LA. Or we're just going to be apart for 8 months. That was never a thing for us. It was always, hey, we're all together. We're all rocking and rolling as a family. And that got to be too much for her. And And rightfully so. She had followed me around and been a part of different things of what we were doing for the better part of 10 years.
Right. Because it seems glamorous, but then at the end of the day,
Exactly.
it's a lot.
It's a lot. Like everybody, I mean, even guys that are some of the best players in the world, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And yes, they make a lot of money and they're really, really, really good at baseball.
It's
but
a lonely life.
Some of those people don't see their families as much as they would like to. So, so as far as the consulting side of things go, I was actually training kids in my garage behind our house in Archdale on the High Point line. And we outgrew that space and we opened up the facility, the Ghost Lab now. And again, one of my best friends who's the head coach at Duke now called, and there's a guy, Cam Anasi, who was the closer for Wake Forest back in 23 when they went to Omaha. And he's like, man, like I need him to move a little bit better. I can't get his back foot to turn over. Like, how can we really get this going? And he's like, hey, just come hang out. Like, let's see what we can kind of make together and, work with Cam, do a little assessment on him, kind of see the way he's moving, get him moving a little bit better. And I was like, hey man, let's go out and throw. And so me, Corey, Cam, and a couple other guys go out. He's playing catch and he's looking at me and he's like, dude, like, he's like nodding his head and he's like starting to throw it. Like you can see they get the intent, like raising and stuff like that. And he looks at me and he's like, hey, do you think I can get on the mound? And I was like, heck yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And Corey's like, absolutely not. Like his bullpen's tomorrow. Like we can't change that schedule. Like we need him to be rocking and rolling. And I was like, Corey, just let him throw. And he's like, no. But we end up throwing and it was great. And he calls Tom Walter over at the head coach and we started consulting with him.
That's insane. All right. If people want to know more information about the Ghost Lab, where can they go to find out more information?
Yeah. www.ghostlabnc.com.
All right. Brandon Golden. Ghostlab.com. Go and visit that site. All knowing baseball, doing things different than anyone else here. Go check it out. All right. Stay tuned. You are listening to the Jill Berlin Show.